All right, good morning. This is Griffin Cooper here from Ableway Tech on July 5th, 2026, another edition of Kata Challenge Corner. We're looking at the critical state setups. This week was target, firework setup, and this week was about trying to understand the things that I'm looking at. I think in the a good way to say it would be it's hybrid trading, really. Kata challenge patterns. So collapsing dragons and supported spring crossings in a setup that we've seen. I actually repeat the last 3 weeks on different symbols. But let's start with one of the things we're looking at is these high open interest levels on the option chain. So this was the target option chain. All of our symbols have weekly expirations for the options. So we were looking at the weekly expiration, and you could see we highlighted then the strike prices that had a larger open interest, such as here we can see 139 had 640 contracts. 140 had 451. And we look at it on both sides as well now. So though you go to the put side, you could see 135 would be a heavily defended level, we think, because there's 424 contracts there, uh, and so on. So pretty simple, and that kind of gives us some framework for levels to watch when price approaches those levels. So zooming out, here was our daily chart, just a candlestick chart with 5 period simple moving average. And you can see that what the fireworks looks like on a chart at the various, going from a 30-day look back period to a 150 day look back period. It's making new highs. And you can also see there's some new volatility entering the market on the 5 day range. So it's a nice place to start looking for things to happen. This is what we're using as our roadmap for now during our research, and I'm finding it really a good combination of the 60-minute swings and then looking down on the 5 minute charts to see how they unfold with a little bit better maybe opportunities for low risk ideas. But we have these 60-minute candle charts, and the only thing I put on them is our parabolic stop and reverse, which is tuned to our RL10. And then we just have what's marked as these high open interest levels that I was showing on the other slide in the option chain. So we have those marked. For instance, here you could see the 139 level that had 453 contract. So that looked like an important level, and a lot of these levels that end up matching uh, the the levels we see on the chart. So, for example, here you can see there's this 139 level was an important support level. Price came down one, two, three. Three times it came down and failed to break that level. So the more times that happens, uh, when it does, if it does break, then it's going to be significant, right? And so that's kind of what we were looking for here, because this is also an important kind of what they would call like a bear trap, or Linda Raschke would call a power buy, just pure technical analysis based on the swings here. Because if we use these PSAR flips, we can use them to objectively measure the swing. I think it's as good as any other method. I'm very comfortable with it, so I took to it quickly when I finally came up with that idea. So we had a low here. Here's a high, right? So we have our low. These are like measuring the PSAR flips. And we have here, so compared to this is a higher low now. Now we have a higher high. So at that point, this is just going back 100 years, right? Dow theory. We need higher highs and higher lows to say that it's in a confirmed trend. So once it breaks this level, then we have the higher highs and the higher lows, which it does here. Okay, confirmed uptrend. So now on a roadmap, we would be looking for either early trend reversals, maybe like we're going to look at in a second, or the more obvious is then just trend continuations, right? Pullbacks. But we had something interesting up here where we had this high, and we had a low here, and then here we have this higher low. I'm sorry, lower high, right? So what we have now is this could be an important level then to watch for. We have basically a CD setting up, a collapsing dragon, right? The collapsing dragon can often happen as a trend reversal. You get this move like this, and then this can be kind of an aggressive opportunity for these reversals, right? You get this this failure test, right? It tries to test that previous level up here and it doesn't even get there and it starts to turn around. So that's really what we were looking for is this, if it broke through this level, said 139 is a level to watch for a collapsing dragon. So let's go in. This was on Wednesday. So let's look at the on Wednesday's chart, and we see here this is the 5 minute chart with the Kata challenge layout. It's a simple bar chart, and we have the important levels marked. Like here, you can see again these open interest levels, right? So here's the 139 that we're watching, and it opened right there. This is the session open here, right? This is the 6:30 Pacific time New York Open, and the opening price level here. So it opened right at that open interest level and proceeded then to sell off as it did pull away from that level. It created a lot of opportunity there. If we look on the chart as well on a 1 minute chart, we'll see that there's some other low risk ideas here. But I just want to show that it was this open interest level. It was actually the previous day's low as well, which was kind of a nice bonus there. So we were seeing that idea that if we go back to the prior chart, it was that idea that if it broke through this level, then we'd have that higher low and basically a collapsing dragon on the 60-minute chart, which would then lead to some good opportunities here on the intraday time frame, and it absolutely did. This is a range stat. This is like what a large, statistically large move looks like intraday, a large range day, and it made that whole move. It really was quite a day. We had this move down, and then even in the afternoon, you get another nice move down. So pretty good movement there in target. So if we look at it even on a 1 minute chart, sometimes these move happen very quickly. They get started in the morning and kind of before the horse leaves the barn. If you want to kind of get in, sometimes a 1 minute chart I think can be is what I've been looking at lately. If it happens in the first half hour or so, or even the first hour, the 5 minutes can sometimes take longer for the Kata challenge pattern. But we have here this open. And then we had the PSAR flip here after it's coming down and breaking this important level. So that would have been a nice initiation level. We also then had this little wedge form, and then when it broke that, that was certainly nice. And then another continuation pattern here, and this is only the morning. It actually continued, down the rest of the day as we saw. So once these start going, they're fairly consistent in those trend days on the lower time frames. Uh, we had then an interesting phenomenon that we've seen the last 3 weeks in a row. So that was here. We go back. This was the other setup I want to talk about. We had that collapsing dragon that actually led to 2 days of sell-offs. I showed you the one day. The next day was similar, a move down. Then it stopped at that 130 level, which had a lot of open contracts or open interest, 303 the time we marked this. So that ended up becoming another important level because we have this swing low here, right? We could see it was an area where price had made this little pocket. So those are always interesting places where we can look for volume to come in, and it also is confirmed then with this open interest level. So that's why the little red star is here because we had 2 days of sell-off in a market that is, we go back to our daily chart, right? This is trending nicely, right? So if we get a little bit of sell-off here, that can be seen as like a buy on dip opportunity, right? And we also have our roadmap of the 60-minute here. And this isn't really, if we're just analyzing it pure, just swing highs and swing low, that's not actually a trend reversal yet on the 60-minute, right? We have the lower high. This hasn't flipped yet. This is all one move. So it's quite a pronounced move, but it's not really until we get another lower low and then it broke that it would be a trend reversal. So until then, this is really just a buying still opportunity, in my opinion, because we have this down move, and then this ends up being a really nice point, a nice inflection point where it's kind of a bit of a bear trap. So let's see what happened on the next day. And first, before I show the next day, just wanted to show reference last week's GE here. on last week, we had a similar thing, right? It looks very similar. We have this lower high and then a potential lower low, but until then, it's testing this prior support level. And again, with those that pullback, it's an opportunity. It's a buying opportunity. So, and last week, what happened here is we had then an SSC. We had 2 days of high to low, all right, where the market traded down, and then in an uptrend on the daily, right, making new highs. So this ends up being kind of with the combination of this swing low and opportunity, a opportunity for an SSC. So on target that next day, that's exactly what happened. It still opened fairly high. It opened up here at 130, and it actually wasn't at 130 that it reversed. I was looking at the 130 level, but it actually came down here to this support and resistance level here around 127.50 between these two open interest levels. But the structure is pretty clear where it sold off, started to rotate here, and then you had the big low to high day where it came right up to the next big open interest level. Here at 131, we had 490 contracts of open interest. So this is similar to what we saw last week. We had these 1 or 2 days of big sell-offs when it broke that pocket on the 60, and then we get this reversal the next day. And there were some ways to get into this even on the 5 minute chart because this rotating took long enough that we were able to probably could have got in here, and that would have been a beautiful move. And as well, you can see the structure a little bit better with these moves in the morning, where we see the sell off, and then you get this rotated classical triangle pattern, which basically, price is compressing here. We get converging trend lines. The ADX comes down, and this one you can see some other more clear entries when it broke that swing high of the triangle pattern. And then you also get then these Kata 2 continuations. By here, you're in a sure enough confirmed uptrend. And when that happens, and you get these kind of, I guess, the institutional buyers, the 1 minute actually starts to get less noisy, and you start to see a very prevalent trend. So some interesting things we're coming to see as we continue this research with we're looking at the critical state symbols. Particularly fireworks is one I'm really starting to get interested in because we've seen this kind of phenomenon of the 60-minute collapsing dragons and followed by the supporting spring crossing. So I hope that was helpful and informative. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.